Hi, I'm Lisa Bishop, immediate past district governor of 7090. And it's nice saying that 'cause I'm so happy to see so many here from 7090. I miss our get-togethers. So I wanted to welcome everyone. We have some guests that Sandy will introduce when I hand the mic over to her. And this is the second session that we've had regarding a learning session for the Rotary Foundation. I'm chair-elect, taking over the position July 1st, being mentored by Sandy Shard, who's our current chair of our district foundation, and she's moved on to a zone position. And I'd ask her to say a little bit about that. And Sandy will also introduce our guest speaker. I thank David Barry for serving as our Zoom producer today. And I think he's mentioned to many people to put their name on, and if they can, add their club. When we have questions throughout the presentation, if you could just do the raise the hand, and it's under your reactions button, so you can just do raise the hand. We'll try to take some of the questions throughout so that they're timely and match the part of the presentation so that you can have that learning at that time and not wait till the end. So we'll try to recognize people if they have their hand raised. This will be recorded and available to share with others in the future. And I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. And I'll hand it over now to Sandy Shard.
Thanks, Lisa. So Lisa has been organizing our bi-monthly get-togethers, which is fantastic. We're trying to do a little bit of learning and such each time. I have invited Gernot to come and sit in on us. I'm now working some, as she mentioned, with the zone, and he's one of my other districts that I deal with. Was a former district governor as well, up in 6290. Same as us. They're not half. You're more American than Canadian, but you have both sides. And as well, we have come. So thank you, Garnet, for coming in. He's here to listening to see what we do. He's now the DRFC, which we were said yesterday. Let's stop doing acronyms. So District Rotary Foundation Chair is what he is. So which is what I am right now as well. So what we have done this time, last year we invited Adina to come as well. So Adina, we learned a lot from her, so we're having her come back. So for those of you who don't know who Adina is, she is the senior annual giving officer from Zone 28. She is basically a professional fundraiser is what she is, and she's got exceptional knowledge of the process. She knows how to motivate your team and your members, and she has many tried and true solutions that work. As we all know, just heard recently, she was just down to our international learning down here, and I saw her picture today online with Mickey Mouse ears, but I think they were Minnie Mouse ears. I think you're a Minnie Mouse person more than a Mickey Mouse person with it. And she's also a Rotarian as well, and she has been with the Rotary now for exactly 10 years, I believe. Is that correct, Adina? 10 years? You just had your anniversary? Yeah. So before, so she's done a lot of stuff with it. And she is a Paul Harris Fellow as well. And she's done some packing of food. I know she was down in Orlando packing food, but you've done packing food and others, and you've done some other Rotary projects as well. And that's one of the things I know Adina taught us in Zone 28 is we need to tell our stories, not just ask for money, tell what type of things that they do. So Adina, take it away. And if you want to tell more about yourself, please.
Thanks so much, Sandy. I really appreciate the intro. I do have to make one correction. I am not a Rotarian. I am just a Rotary staff member, and I have been on Rotary staff for 10 years. So sorry about that. Let me see here if I can connect real quickly. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I really appreciated having the opportunity last year, or I should say the previous year before that, to come into your session and present on the foundation. And I'm happy to do so again. We're going in a little bit of a different direction this year. I'm going to go over some different items, some from our governor-elect training seminar that Sandy was referring to and that I'd love to share with you that you can bring back to your clubs. Sandy introduced me. My name is Adina Mehovic. I am a senior annual giving officer with the Rotary Foundation. What we do as annual giving officers is we help empower our Rotary leaders to acquire, retain, and upgrade our donors, fund more grants, and create a strong pipeline of philanthropic support for the Rotary Foundation. We also use data and giving trends to help connect and support our gifts to the annual fund. So there are 6 of us in our US office in Evanston, and we support the various zones within US and Canada. And we have 4 international annual giving officers as well, and they are in India, Brazil, Japan, and Korea. About me, as Sandy mentioned, I joined Rotary 10 years ago. It was actually January 7th, 2014. I started off in the Rotary Support Center, and I'm sure you all are familiar with the Rotary Support Center. They are the 800 hotline that you call to help support any questions you have in your clubs. There, I was able to learn so much about Rotary and the Rotary Foundation that it really prepared me for this role. I joined the annual giving team in 2018, and that was August 2018. And in the meantime, while I was an annual giving officer, I was also able to achieve my master's in business administration through Keller Graduate School of Management. So I like to start a presentation with sharing our Rotary Foundation's mission. The Rotary Foundation helps Rotary members to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace by improving health, providing quality education, improving the environment, and alleviating poverty. So what does this, and I'm sorry, before I move on, am I sharing my screen? I don't see the outline on here.
Good, I can
Yes,
see.
Yes, no problem.
yes, your screen is shared.
Beautiful. So when we're in a live audience, I like to ask the question of what do you think is the most important part of this statement? It's a little bit harder to do on Zoom, so I'll share that with you. The most important part of this statement is the Rotary Foundation helps Rotary members. We are here to support you as Rotarians and Rotary members create projects and do good in the world. We're here to help support you in achieving that through raising funds to the foundation, through supporting your grant activities, and by providing our services to you as Rotary staff. You're familiar with our 3 primary funds that our participants can give to support our Rotary Foundation. There's the annual fund, which is the primary source for funding of our foundation grants and activities. And it's specifically share that comes back to your district in the form of district designated funds. Our share program and our areas of focus do fall under the annual fund. We have the Polio Plus Society, or excuse me, Polio Plus Fund, which is dedicated to global polio eradication. And in the next few slides after this, I'll touch on polio just a little bit. And then we also have the endowment fund, which supports the foundation in perpetuity. So I won't be talking about the endowment fund. That is more Carolyn's neck of the woods, Carolyn Ferguson, your major gift officer. So I'll leave that to her. But I will be touching on the annual fund and the Polio Plus Fund. My team does primarily work with the annual fund. So the Global Eradication Initiative, of which Rotary is a founding member, has a strategic plan covering years 2022 to 2026 that builds upon our progress to date and addresses the remaining hurdles of polio eradication. As you all are aware, polio is our organization's current #1 initiative. This strategy has 2 goals. One is to interrupt transmission of all polio virus in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And both of those countries had 6 cases each last year, for a total of 12. And to stop transmission of variant polio plus type 2 outside of the endemic countries, prevent outbreaks in polio-free regions. The strategy aims to certify the world wild polio-free and validate the absence of variant poliovirus type 2 by the end of 2026. We've made, I think I jumped a little ahead of myself here. We've made tremendous progress in our polio eradication efforts. In 1988, there were 350,000 cases of polio in 125 countries. Today, only 2 countries remain, and that's Afghanistan and Pakistan. 5 of the 6 World Health Organization regions are certified wild polio-free, and 90% of the world's population lives in a polio-free area. This is a major achievement in which Rotary and Rotarians have made a significant contribution. Thanks to Rotary efforts and that of our partners, more than 3 billion children have been vaccinated against polio. And finally, most compelling is that because of our efforts and those of our partners, more than 20 million people are walking who would otherwise be paralyzed by the polio virus. Excuse me. Achieving a polio-free world requires us to reach up to 370 million children per year to sustain high levels of immunity, because as long as it circulates anywhere in the world, it's a threat to children everywhere. And we saw this happen, an outbreak happen a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year in New York, where the polio virus came over by plane and we saw it start circulating in that area. Hundreds of thousands of frontline workers are needed to go door to door, house to house, and market to market, looking for children under the age of 5 to vaccinate multiple times per year. For example, in Pakistan alone, there are over 270,000 frontline workers. In addition, disease surveillance activities must intensify by looking for the virus in children and in the environment, as the polio virus can live for a short period of time in sewage water. This surveillance system is necessary to determine if and where the polio virus is circulating, and will be used to determine when polio virus circulation has stopped. Funds raised by Rotarians are used to support the highest priority countries and activities of global polio eradication. The majority of our funds are channeled through the World Health Organization and UNICEF, the implementing partners of the Polio Eradication Initiative. In 2022-23, Rotary funds supported polio eradication efforts in the 2 endemic countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Funds also supported polio outbreak response activities and vaccines in many countries in Africa and Eastern Mediterranean region, including Chad, Ethiopia, Zambia, and Somalia, just to name a few. The other category represents Rotary support for surveillance, research, and technical experts at the World Health Organization. I wanted to share this brief snippet with you on polio. We know there's a lot of polio fatigue out there. We know that we're just this close to eradicating polio, and we do need support from our Rotary members and global citizens to continue to fight this horrific disease and hopefully eradicate it within the coming years and reach our goal of eradication by 2026. And now on to my passion and my baby, the annual giving portion of these presentation. I wanted to start off with a global overview of what giving looks like. Our global overview is through November. Unfortunately, it's about a month and a half behind, and I'll share shortly our district overview, which will be through December. So we have a big goal ahead of us. We have a $150 million goal for annual fund, and I've also listed the other funds and their goals and current status as well. At this point, we are about 48 million. Our progress is about 48 million towards achieving that goal. It's important to note December is our second biggest giving month in the Rotary year, right behind June. So once the December numbers roll in, I'm sure these numbers will go ahead and skyrocket and we'll be even closer to achieving our goals. Before I go into our district numbers and statistics, I like to share some trends we've seen of successful clubs and districts. There are 5 pieces that we've seen that are recurring for clubs or districts that are successful with annual fund giving. We always preach foundation team in place, and our district leaders, I'm sure have heard it. Sandy's heard us say this frequently. It goes for the club level too. Have a team in place Make sure that they have access to My Rotary. Make sure that you have people that can help you promote the foundation within your club. Increasing annual fund per capita is another marker that we see for successful clubs and districts. Every Rotarian, every year percentage, that is the amount of donors that are giving to the annual fund, the number of donors that are giving to the annual fund. Increasing sustaining members, which are those donors that are giving $100 or more to the annual fund. And increasing Paul Harris Society membership. Paul Harris Society is those donors that commit to giving annually $1,000 or more to any polio or to any Rotary fund, with the exception of the endowment fund. But of course, increasing Paul Harris Society with contributions to the annual fund helps towards a successful club or district. So I promised I would take a look at the numbers for the district, and here they are. These are figures through December. So 7090 is having a great start to the first 6 months, or first half at this point of the Rotary year. You are at $103,000 for annual fund giving. That is down just a bit over last year. It's about 6.8%, but really anything that's within plus or minus 10%, we look at that as a plateau figure. So you're almost even with the previous year. The annual fund per capita is $57.26. And your every Rotarian every year percentage is slightly increased over last year. You're at 23.2%, and last year to date was 22.6%. So congratulations on your successes, and give yourself a pat on the back and a round of applause. You're doing wonderfully. I do want to highlight every Rotarian every year percentage. This is an area of opportunity that we have, and somewhere that we can focus in the next 6 months, or 5.5, we should say at this point, to help your district really achieve your giving goals and pass your giving goals. Your district, compared to other districts in Zone 28, is right in the middle of the lot. So focusing on Rotary Club members contributing at least $25 or more to the annual fund, and promoting the foundation, these are ways that you can help increase that every Rotarian every year percentage. And I'll share more information on that in the coming slides. I do want to share some numbers with you before we get into more how to increase giving information. And this is trends in annual fund giving. This is actually trends in annual fund share giving specifically, not including areas of focus in these numbers. As you can see here, our Paul Harris Society level, this is at a global overview, and I'll have the district snapshot as well. The global overview, Paul Harris Society level of 1,000 or more. In the past 5 years, we've had an increase of about $5.5 million in giving in that category. Unfortunately, we've seen a dip in the sustaining member category, which is the $100 to $249. And that in the past 5 years has been about $2.2 million, about $2 million in decrease. It's important to note that about 52% of our donations do come from gifts of 1,000 or less. And these tend to be gifts that are going to ensure that your districts and globally we're able to continue to do the work through global grant and district grant projects. There was a slight dip, I just want to note, in 2022-2023 in the 1,000 to 2,499 level is about $350, but there was an increase in the number of donors last year over the year before. And here is a snapshot of what your district figures are looking like. And this is actually 6 years back for your district that we have here. We do show that there was a slight dip in 2022-23 over 2021-22. But what's really important to focus on is that These categories of 1,000 to 49.99 and 100 to 4.99 are making up a significant chunk of your giving towards the annual fund in the district. So for example, in 2022, 2023, 61% of your gifts came from donors within these two categories. From the previous year in 2021-22, it was 78% of these gifts. So how do we move that needle forward? Well, this is just a little visual to help you along the way. We're going to talk through different things as we go along and various ways that you can do this, but it's important to inspire your Rotary members in your clubs. It's also important to educate them. I can't tell you how many times members within a Rotary Club don't even know what the foundation is. So it's important to make sure there's foundation programming. The ask, the worst thing you can get is a no. You don't know unless you ask. And of course, celebrate your members by recognizing them. And I'll go through various ways we'll do this. I mentioned earlier, one of the most important things is to have a foundation team in place. And I just want to harp on that once more because they really can be a cheerleader and a coordinator to help you. One person doesn't have to do everything. There's strength in numbers. You also have a district team to support you. You have Lisa, you have Sandy and others to support you with foundation inquiries. You have your Rotary staff, myself, the annual giving officer, Carolyn Ferguson as your major gift officer. You have planned giving officers, regional grants officers, the Rotary Support Center I mentioned, which is the 800 hotline that you can reach out to. And you also, I skipped over them, have your regional staff, your assistant, which is also Sandy, assistant regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, your regional foundation coordinator, and endowment and major gift officer, advisor. But the most important thing is to plan on succession and mentorship, because what we see often is we might have a great foundation chair, great president intact in a club, and unless that information is passed on and the next person is trained and is aware of what's happening in the club, all of that can fall to bits and the success can really crumble. Set goals for the annual fund in Polio Plus. A goal can't be reached if it's not set. Clubs with clear and communicated goals tend to have greater success. Be sure the goals are clear and that they're measurable, and that everyone within your club is aware that these are your goals and this is what you're trying to achieve. What are some reasons that you should set goals? Well, I have 4 for you. First is focus. Setting goals for your club gives your members something clear to aim for and removes ambiguity. They will more likely be willing to hit the bullseye if they're aiming at a target. Progress. Setting a goal provides clubs with benchmark to measure themselves against. When there is an endpoint to work towards, they'll be able to see how much further they have to go. Accountability. Goals create a catalyst that moves club members to act with a purpose. They will be more likely to accomplish a task that has a goal versus a task that does not. Every member has access to Rotary Club Central to view the achievement status. And that's something that you can do within clubs is share how to access that Rotary Club Central option. Motivation. A goal provides something to get excited about. Having a finish line in sight can motivate clubs to focus their energy to reach the end. It pushes members out of their comfort zone and gives them a sense of purpose, making the accomplishment feel even more fulfilling. Be sure to educate your members on the Rotary Foundation. And you're going to hear me like a broken record say educate, 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 and recognize, recognize, recognize. And I'm sorry about that, but those are 2 very important things that I love to share. Educate your members on the impact of giving, both short and long term, through district and global grants, through community focus, through projects that you might be participating in, through projects they could be participating in. Share the various funds that the Rotary Foundation has. Oftentimes at the club level, our Rotary members don't know that you can give to Annual Fund Share or Polio Plus. In the support center, we used to get phone calls that our donors wanted to give to the Paul Harris Fund, which is not a fund. So educate your members on what funds are available for them to donate to, and try to ignite their passion through one of those funds and what might really reach out and call to them. Educate on the ways to give. There's so many different options, and Rotary really makes it easy. You can donate through an outright gift via check, credit card, Rotary Direct. We have online giving. We have a Raise for Rotary platform, which allows you to set up an online platform to raise funds to every fund that Rotary has, with the exception of Annual Fund Share. In the US side, we have IRAs as well, and legacy gifts that you can contribute to. And I'm sorry, Lisa, did you have a question?
Yes, I had to unmute. Yeah, it's regarding Raise for Rotary. Now, you did address that because when it was first launched, the platform was available. We've used it as a district-wide for our Pedal for Polio for 3 years or more. I'm not sure. For sure, we've done that. It's been very successful, but I'd really like to hear a bit more about how clubs can use it, or individuals, to raise money for the foundation.
I'd be happy to share. Raise for Rotary can be used by an individual, a club, or a district. We have had individuals use it for races, and Race to End Polio. I'm blanking on the exact name right now. That happens in Tucson. We've had clubs do fundraising events that are structured around World Polio Day in October, like Pints for Polio. There's some really clever names that our clubs come up with that I can't think of at the top of my head, but I know our Evanston Nouveau Club did Pints for Polio for World Polio Day. We have other clubs that will set up with different names for this fundraiser. So it's really easy. You just go in, you put the name of your team, which is your club, and what you're raising for, a goal, and then you can share the link with anybody and ask them to contribute towards polio. Or any other fund that you would like to set it up for, with the exception of Annual Fund Share. Next, moving on to recognition, we have various recognitions that we do offer. And in my last presentation, I share this, so I don't want to rehash all of the recognitions, but I'm happy to answer any questions on those. We have various levels of Paul Harris Fellows, Paul Harris Society, Major Donor, Bequest Arch Clump Society. Please have your members use the Rotary Learning Center. There are modules on there that can help at the club level and at the district level, and just to plain learn more about the Rotary Foundation. And then share your story. I really think the most important way to get to our Rotary members and to really get at the heartstrings of our Rotary members is by sharing the Rotary story. There's a story I like to share, and I think Sandy's heard this story before because she's heard me share it before or been in a presentation of my Rotary journey. I mentioned I started with the Rotary Support Center in 2014, and I didn't know too much about Rotary before I joined Rotary staff. And we would get phone calls from Rotary members like you that were extremely passionate about Rotary and the Rotary Foundation. And as a staff member, I knew the different things Rotary did, but I didn't understand the drive behind the passion. For years, I didn't understand it. And I went finally in 2017 to our Atlanta convention, and I started seeing it a little bit. I saw Rotarians from all over the world coming together like they've known each other forever. And they have known each other forever because they've worked on projects together. Same thing with 2018 convention, a little more understanding of what Rotary was, but I still didn't fully understand why our Rotarians were so passionate. Fast forward to 2018, September, I attended my first governor-elect training seminar, our institute, for Old Zones 28 and 29. And It started on a Wednesday, and by Saturday we had this general session in the morning, and I sat down. Everyone's tired by Saturday. I was missing home, my kids, and this presentation comes on, and we have a speaker that starts talking about human trafficking. And she shared a story about, and I always choke up here. She shared a story about a 7-year-old in India that was trafficked or sold into sex slavery by her family so that the rest of the children could eat. And it just hit me right there. My daughter was 6 at the time. And I looked around and I understood. That was my Rotary moment. And I love to share that story because it really shows the impact of what Rotary is doing on top of all of the other things that Rotary is doing. I'm building reefs in Mexico and fighting malaria and all the big things. We're also trying to create projects that start at the ground level and really help around the world. So share your story because others want to hear it, and it's the best way to really show the magic of Rotary. And then participate and feature your district and global grants. Take an active role in implementing a project funded by your district or a global grant project. Work with your club members, see what their interests are. Promote public relations and advocacy of a grant. Volunteer your time. If your club can't participate in a grant or create a grant on their own, volunteer your time and contribute your expertise, whether that be technical, cultural, or academic. Perform a community assessment if you need to. I learned about a district in Australia that was under the impression that their needs were one thing, and then when they performed a community assessment, find out they had all these other needs and were able to support grant projects in these areas as well. Feature your grants, whether that be local or global. One good thing that came out of COVID is Zoom, kind of, sometimes not so good, but it gave us access to people around the world. So you have the opportunity to bring in speakers from around the world to talk about projects that they are working on or talk about projects that they may need assistance with. So have them participate in club programs. Show the impact of projects in your club meetings that your local community is doing. Show them at district events or even in any communications that you share with your club. And your district is doing a lot. I pulled some grant figures here, and this is for last Rotary year and for current Rotary year. And starting with 2022-2023, there were 36 district grant projects in District 7090. That's for a total of $59,000 awarded for these projects. And now, just to show you how annual fund share works, these funds are from donations that were made in 2019-2020. There were also 5 global grant projects that were approved in year 2022-2023. In 23-24, which is the current year, there were 27 district grant projects for a total awarded also around $59,000. And this is from contributions that were made in 2020-2021. There's 2 global grant projects that were approved with others in the works. Some of the grant projects that were local in your community include distributing food to approximately 450 children with food insecurities in the Niagara area, helping install a walk-in freezer at a soup company, Soup Kitchen, which is a nonprofit organization, building a dog park, setting up technology in a classroom. And then global grant-wise, you're bringing drinking water to villages and sanitation and hygiene to areas that wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity. And Sandy or Lisa, I see there's some chat, so if there's any questions that I need to stop and address, please let me know. It's hard for me to view them.
Someone had to leave and they were just saying
okay.
say goodbye. There was a chat question, but we'll come to it at the end again about Raise for Rotary, okay? So we'll come back to that.
Sounds good. Oh, I think I here. All right. You've heard me mention a couple times that recognizing and celebrating is important. Recognizing and stewarding your donors for their support of our foundation is always important. There's various ways that you can do this. When I keep referring to my support center stories, so you're going to hear one more, I apologize. When I worked in the Rotary Support Center, we often received phone calls from Rotary members waiting on their recognition. And typically it was a Paul Harris Fellow that they didn't receive. And on occasion, we would have participants or Rotary members that were upset and would ask, why would I continue to donate if I can't be properly recognized? And this really just shows you the importance of recognizing individuals, making sure that you're checking reports to ensure that you know who has achieved a new level and being sure that you recognize them. You can do this during a club meeting, a conference, a foundation event that you might have in your club. But whichever way you choose to do it, I would just ask that you do it in a way that's special to our donor and respectful to them. I was at an event and a Rotarian came up to me and we were chatting and she had a major donor pin and I said, congratulations on your achievement. And she said, it was really lovely. The club presented my pin to me during a club meeting and I wish my family was there. And it really stuck with me, the fact that she said that some people would like their family to see them recognized. And then on the flip side, others would like their recognition in private and don't want to be recognized during a club meeting. So it makes it even more special if we're recognizing our donors in the manner that they would like. And of course, there's the ask. Don't just hint at, well, would you contribute, or can you, would you like to? Ask directly or find someone in your club that can. If you don't feel comfortable asking, there are other individuals that have the skills and could ask for the gift for your club. The biggest reason people will give is because they are asked. Make sure the right person is doing the ask. And on top of the one-on-one conversation, there are other ways to ask as well. You could do campaigns that are email or direct mail. You could have an event to raise funds, and you can use Raise for Rotary as an option as well. And Trustee Chair Barry has asked all of us to support the foundation this year and for every member around the world to give. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't include this in here as well. And that is by asking you to lead by example. Giving to the foundation allows for walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And as club leaders, we encourage you to give and then share your stories of giving with others as well. So now that I've shared a couple of ideas, I'd like to share some tools that you have on how you can learn about who's giving in your club and where your club standings are. So I'm going to go over some reports and how to access them. Locating our foundation reports has changed slightly. So when you log in, you're going to see a screen that looks similar to this. You're going to scroll down to this little area that has these blocks and you're going to click on membership and foundation reports. You're going to scroll down to the section that says contributions and recognition, and you're going to click on that view reports blue button right there. Before I move to the next screen though, I do want to share this little cool trick that we have, and that is quick linking your reports tab. So if you see that little star that's right here, it's clear. If you click on it, there's an option that says add to my quick links, and you click on that and it turns purple. So what happens when it turns purple is it's added to your quick links right over here when you get to that reports page. So if you click on view reports, any report that you quick link will be there for easy access and you don't have to search for it. There are many reports that you have access to, and we won't be able to go through all of them today, but the ones that I will be covering are the club recognition summary, the club foundation banner report, the club fundraising analysis, and the monthly contribution report. So let's start with the club recognition summary. This is a great report that club leaders can view, and it shows you many things here. It will show you who is enrolled in Rotary Direct. It will also show you how many points your club has. It shows you how many foundation recognition points are awarded in appreciation for personal contributions from an individual or organization. And remember, foundation recognition points can only be used to transfer to other individuals. It will also show you the recognition amount listed for each individual member. The recognition amount helps you determine where each member of your club is in achieving their personal Paul Harris Fellow level. It will also show you if the club was ever 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club. This column here shows the last contribution date and the fund that it was contributed to. And there's also the all-time giving for the club. A couple of notes I'd like to mention for this report is this is not a giving report. So you will not be able to gauge how much a donor has given based on this report. It is strictly a recognition report, which is why it has the recognition amounts here instead of the dollar giving amount. Anyone who has achieved their Paul Harris Fellow Plus 8, which is a recognition amount of $9,000, like for example, this individual here, that is the highest amount you'll see. You'll never see an amount over $9,000 in the recognition amount. Paul Harris Fellow recognition and recognition points are earned through all of our funds with the exception of the endowment fund. Gifts to the endowment fund do not count towards Paul Harris Fellows. There's a great page at the end of the club recognition summary that has information on the various levels of Paul Harris Fellow and the type of recognition that is received with each level. Next, I'm going to share the monthly contribution report. This report has changed a little bit. Previously, it did not include Polio Plus in one of the columns. Polio Plus used to be clumped in with other funds, and now that is listed on here as well. The monthly contribution report shows each club's annual fund goal, percentage of goal achieved, per capita, and it also breaks down the contributions received in dollars towards annual fund, endowment fund, Polio Plus, and other funds. Other funds includes approved global grants and disaster response. It's important to note that the Rotarian numbers listed here are numbers as of 1 July, so those will not change throughout the year. Another improvement to the report is that there has been an addition of a tab called the MCR Report Detail. The MCR Report Detail includes the same information as the MCR Report tab, but it includes a column for month to date. The last page of the monthly contribution report contains some valuable data as well. Here you can view the total of annual fund giving for the period, the total of clubs with annual fund goals received, and the total of clubs with contributions to the annual fund. So it's a nice little snapshot for the district. The next report I'm sharing with you is the club fundraising analysis. This report is a good place to track club annual fund goals and totals throughout the entire year from start to end. It's especially helpful at the beginning of the year because you can see the prior 4 years giving and determine your goals and trends. In this example club, you can see the report shows that this club has been continually meeting and exceeding their annual fund goals. Now at the midpoint of the sample year, they've only met 30% of their goal. So it's most likely that this club has heavy end of year push for the annual fund, or maybe had a major gift that was given the previous year that was impacting their giving. This report also helps club leaders track the number of every Rotarian every year donors, sustaining members, and those who are Paul Harris Society eligible. And that is listed right here, and it's not highlighting for some reason. I apologize. The Club Foundation banner report is available to club and district leaders. This report can be used to identify member and club engagement with the foundation by showing the club's progress towards achieving club giving banners and individual member giving status. This is a great report to start using right around now. With 6 months, about 5 months left in the Rotary year, you can determine what your status is towards achieving your club foundation banner, whether that be the foundation banner or the every Rotarian every year club banner, and work to encourage members, if that's a goal you're looking to achieve, work to encourage members to give towards the annual fund or a foundation fund. The club snapshot at the top includes information such as E-rate percentage, per capita giving, and the density of members with Paul Harris Society giving capacity. You'll also be able to see a snapshot information on each individual club member's giving in these recognition categories. It will show you the dollar amounts. It won't show you the dollar amounts, but it will give you indicators such as if they've made an E-rate eligible gift, or if they've made a sustaining member eligible gift, or if they have the capacity towards Paul Harris Society. It will also show you which of your members are enrolled in Rotary Direct. The last report I'm going to share is the contribution detail report for clubs and districts. This report is not available online. This report you would have to request from the Rotary Support Center, or myself or your district governor, DRFC. They also have access to this report. This is a great tool to use to see snapshots and detail of your club's giving. It can help you determine how much is going to each fund and includes the breakdown, and then how much each individual is given, or even if you're looking to balance your club's books, which we've had in the past. So as you know, many club officers do like contributions to come to them, and then they send them into TRF. This report helps alleviate the need for that. If you encourage your members to join Rotary Direct or to give online, by pulling this report, you'll be able to see the donations that have come through, so you don't have to worry about receiving checks individually, so that you can track those donations. This report has 5 tabs. They updated it recently, and those are listed down here. I've zoomed them out a little bit so that you can see them. The fund summary is going to be the snapshot that you see here. And the fund summary, as I mentioned, has a breakdown of all the funds and the giving to each individual fund. The club summary is new. That's been added to help with Polio Plus Society. And the club summary shows a summary of giving by clubs to annual fund, when pulled at the district level, I should say. It shows annual fund, Polio Plus, and endowment fund on there. The donor summary and the donor detail are the 2 tabs at the club level that you will most likely use. The donor summary shows a summary of each of your donors in your club and how much they've given to annual fund and Polio Plus and their total giving for the year. The donor detail is basically a transaction detail. It includes the donor name, the gift date, the gift method, whether that be Rotary Direct, check, credit card, the gift amount, the fund designation, if it's their first time gift, and that will roll in as the gifts are coming through. So each and every gift that is made will be listed there. So if someone's giving via Rotary Direct on a monthly basis, their name will be listed 12 times, showing the date and amount and method the contribution was received. This is a sensitive report that has some private information on here and as individual giving. And I do have to mention that in line with Rotary's donor privacy policy, we ask that you don't share this report if it's received, and that once you're done using it, that you either delete it or shred it if you've printed the report. So in the time remaining, I'm sorry if I'm going over. I just wanted to share a couple of quick strategies that can work at the club level. Matching point campaigns are very big. We do have many clubs in the Rotary universe that have tens of thousands of points available to them to use towards matching points campaigns. And these can be done in numerous ways. We have clubs that match 50-50. So if a donor gives, they'll match, it's 100% match, I should say. If the donor gives 500, they'll give 500. If they give 200, the club will give 200. We have clubs that have worked to help donors get to their Paul Harris Fellow level or their next level by matching them halfway. I worked with a district that did a 365 match. So if donors gave a dollar for each day, they would match them ×2 with points. There's districts that will, and clubs that will give points to their new members, their first time members. They'll give 100 points, 200 points just to get the ball rolling. Rotary Direct enrollment is another great way to do a matching point campaign. Encourage your members to enroll in Rotary Direct, and once they do, push over some points to them. So that's a great strategy to use to increase giving and participation in your club. I mentioned club banners. Motivate your clubs to earn their banners. So when you pull that club banner report, take a look at where you are and see if there's anything you could do, if there's a competition, if there's some way you can encourage your club members to try to achieve that banner in this Rotary year. And then use reports to recognize and thank your donors, because there's no better strategy than stewardship of our donors. Inspiring and stewardship, those are the top two. You can use the Paul Harris Fellow Report, which will show you your new Paul Harris Fellows and those that are achieving new levels. The Major Donor Arch Pump Society and Bequest Society report, those reports will show you any individual that has achieved that new level of giving. So looking ahead, I was just, as we talked about earlier, at International Assembly, and I had the opportunity to hear Trustee Chair-elect Mark Maloney present our goal for the coming year and his 5 magical markers to make magic happen in Rotary in 2024-25. And I wanted to share, if you haven't seen those already, I wanted to share those with you on this call. The first one is to lead by example by making a contribution to the annual fund no later than 31 August 2024 and to the endowment fund no later than 31 December 2024. Your personal commitment to the Rotary Foundation will set the stage for your district's commitment to the foundation. Number 2 is increase by 10% the number of donors in your district enrolled in Rotary Direct, our recurring giving program. While this option is more popular, maybe in the US, it is gaining momentum in Canada as well. And actually, I show in your district, you have currently 139 Rotary Direct enrolled members. So that's about 7.7% of your membership. So that is actually a wonderful figure. His third magical marker is to establish or continue a district Polio Plus society with at least 50 members by the end of 2024-2025. Oh, it's not coming up here. There we go. Number 4 is raise awareness of the Paul Harris Society, through which Rotary members generously commit US $1,000 to the annual fund every year. Increase the number of Paul Harris Society members in your district by at least 10. And currently, your district is at 58 Paul Harris Society members. And number 5, select a team to coordinate a legacy event in your district. This team will serve as leadership of $1 million event to increase giving to the endowment. Think about it, he told us. If you reach $1 million for the endowment, we will achieve our 2025 goal by 2025, and together we'll celebrate this historic event in Calgary. And now that I've shared Trustee Chair-elect Mark's 5 magical markers, I'm just going to share some call to action items I have for you. And these are just things we learned throughout this last hour, and that is share your Rotary moment. all of us have a reason that we work for Rotary, that we belong to Rotary, that we are involving ourselves and committing so much of our time, talent, and treasure to Rotary and the Rotary Foundation. Share that with your club members and any Rotary member that will listen. Let's work to increase that every Rotarian every year percentage. Lisa and Sandy can share my information with you. Give me a call if you need ideas, if there's anything I can help you with and support you to get your club to achieve an increased every Rotarian every year percentage. Encourage club members to use tools that make giving easy. I shared with you the contribution detail report, so now that you know you can see who gave, encourage them to give online, Rotary Direct and online giving. Once someone enrolls in Rotary Direct, that's a guaranteed gift on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis to the Rotary Foundation. Promote the impact of projects and encourage participation. We become more involved by doing, and really the projects and seeing the good we do in the world is what gets our heartstrings and what helps us become passionate about the Rotary Foundation. And then recognize, and again, I said I was going to be a broken record, recognize and thank your donors. Be sure you're checking in, checking reports. Again, if you need any help on accessing reports, I'm happy to help or take the time to walk through and support you in any way that I can. And lastly, thank you. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Thank you for all that you do that I never probably hear about, all the support you provide the Rotary Foundation and Rotary in general. And again, for your time, talent, and treasure. You are an amazing group, and I really appreciate all that you do. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you so much, Dina. I always learn so many things when you speak. Take away the golden nuggets that we can use within our clubs, and when we're asking others to consider making the Rotary Foundation their foundation of choice. Not just Rotarians, lots in the community can as well, our friends and family. We do have 3 questions. One from our district governor nominee designate, Aaron. He asks if Raise for Rotary can be used for our Best of Friends endowment. Can you use that to raise money for endowments?
The endowment fund
Like
is
Raise for Rotary. Can you use Raise for Rotary?
I don't believe that you can enter a specific endowment number because you have an endowment fund that's specific to your district. Lisa, if I can look into that for you and get back to you, there have been some changes.
Okay, because that's what we're referring to, our district endowment. We call it the District 7090 Best of Friends Heritage Endowment Fund. It's got a big name. So if you can find out, did I say it right, Sandy? So if you can find out, that would be great.
I definitely can, and then I'll shoot you an email and let you know.
Okay, and the next 2 are from Mike Clark. He wants to know, he had a very specific question about information of the Gates Foundation and 2 for 1. His question is in the chat, if we can refer to it. Can you explain the Gates Foundation 2 for 1 contribution? Rotary's financial statement indicates 150 million last year. How much is Rotary contributing, and exactly how much is being matched by the Gates Foundation? The statement notes is capped at 100,000. Confusing. So Mike,
I'd be happy to do that.
Sure.
So
Okay.
for every dollar we contribute towards Polio Plus, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will contribute $2 to cap at 100 million. So Rotary will raise up to 50 million. And if there's any gap, usually there may be a trustee decision to move funds from the World Fund to make sure that we can get that match. And if we raise 50 million, the Gates Foundation matches it with 100 million.
Okay, that's great. And he asks another question. Can you comment on any successful strategy ideas for raising the annual fund with non-Rotarians in communities, our friends and family, getting them to contribute?
Well, Raise for Rotary is great, but not for annual fund. Unfortunately, at getting friends and families to donate, Usually events are a good contributor to friends and family participating in giving to annual fund share, hosting a club event, hosting a gala, for lack of a better word, different various types of fundraisers, carnivals. There's various, having a fundraiser at a brewery, for example, is something we do locally here. And you invite friends and family, and there's multiple donor forms that you can use that you can send in. Once we receive that, we do create an account for each non-Rotarian member, non-Rotarian participant. And with that, they're then able to start building their way towards a Paul Harris Fellow through contributions or points. So we can do that. That is possible.
That's great. I think we have a very interesting idea for a future topic, is engaging our family, friends, neighbors, our community, to help them to learn more about the Rotary Foundation and how they could contribute or be part of our fundraisers, or part of helping in our fundraisers to help us raise money as well. So maybe that's something we could be doing in the future. I know we've really run out of time. I see people, we've got commitments. We've run out of time on this topic. And I want to thank you so much, Adina. Sandy will be speaking after me just to wrap it up. But I want to thank you very, very much for taking the time to sharing with us and making it all so informative, and lots of thumbs up. People are appreciative, and we will share your contact information. It is available, but thank you very, very much for taking the time and for your presentation today.
Thank you, Lisa. And yes, please share my contact information. I'm happy to answer any of the questions remaining via email if you'd like to reach out to me and help you involve your community. We have other areas that have done that. I mentioned the community assessment. That's one way, and really allow the community to participate in projects, and they will start loving the Rotary Foundation like we do. So,
very good.
thank
I know
you
there's
all.
more questions coming, but we'll try to deal with them later. And Sandy, it's your final words there.
I'm just going to do a quick wrap up because we're running a little late here. I just wanted to remind everybody that our district grant applications are being accepted now. So make sure you get those district grants in because we only have so much money. And once we ran out last year, and we'll probably run again out this year. So get your clubs working at that. Hopefully people have been reading my newsletter that comes out every month on the 15th of the month. A lot of information. I try to do that rather than sending out a lot of emails. The endowment fund, which was talked about, we can now do that online. You can, and that was in the last newsletter 2 ago. So remember that. And I want to thank Lisa for putting this together, Adina as well for all your information. You always learn something from it, and Dave Barry for helping us with our Zoom today. Thank you all for coming, though. That was probably more important, is that you guys showed up. You tell us how important it is that you want to learn about more about Foundation. And we're going to do another one in 2 months. I think we're looking at trying to get Carolyn on the endowment fund coming in 2 months. And if you guys have any questions at all, you want more information, please just send us a line and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Even though I'm here in Florida, I still get emails.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.